Hi, Ancient Warrior here. I think I'm going to try to make this one of my last political views video. We're going to start doing more on equipment and stuff that preppers actually need. Now, what we're talking about, preppers need to be aware of. Let's talk about optics. Now, folks, when I say optics, we're talking about the way things look. I was reading an article that was done by Reuters about Marie Le Pen, the woman who ran for the French presidency last year. It seems that the ruling party right now has filed charges against her. They accused her of her party as being like ISIS, and what she did was posted on Twitter a picture of ISIS decapitating a man and said, "This is not who we are." Well, now they've decided they're going to charge her with a crime, some kind of weird French law that it offended people. Folks, that's exactly the reason why Hillary Clinton will never see a day in jail, is due to the optics. You know, I would love, as much as anybody, to see that woman in jail just for what she did to those 4 men in Benghazi. But you will never see her in jail. Because the first thing the Democrats will start yelling is it's a politically motivated hit job. You know, folks, we have to pay attention to every little thing said and done. You know, I know the other day Donald Trump made some comments about gun control. I don't believe we're going to see gun control in my lifetime, but we could. A friend of mine sent a video to me the other day. He wanted me to watch. And it was English people telling the Americans not to allow gun control. Then my niece sent me one talking about Australians telling the Americans, don't believe the lies of gun control. It's all optics. In 96, 97, when the gun confiscation in Australia happened, they collected 600,000 guns willingly given to them by the people of Australia because they were promised liberty. They were promised safety. I saw a little write-up not too long ago where it says that gun crimes in Australia right now are up 16% over last year. Rapes are up 28% over last year. And so on and so forth. And then they've got a new crime they have to deal with. It's called home invasions. Folks, they're not used to home invasions because they used to be allowed to have guns. Now, since the guns are gone, their parliament had to define what a home invasion was. Then they had to define it as a crime. Then they had to define what the punishment would be for that crime. Sounds like a crock of bull to me. You know, kick my front door in, your sentence should be 2 rounds to the chest and that's it. Then we have the issue in South Africa. A lot of you may or may not be aware of what's going on in South Africa. They are the African National Congress, the ANC, the ruling party of South Africa, voted to remove all property owned by whites and give it to the blacks as reparations for colonization. Now, for those of you saying, oh, that can't happen here, it sure as hell can. And let me tell you something, boys and girls. Don't be shocked. We're already hearing congressmen and women. We're hearing these college students. We're hearing these activists talking about reparations. You know, folks, we have to pay close attention to everything the left, the loony liberal left says. So folks, dissect what they say every time. But also pay attention to what Republicans and conservatives are saying. We can be our own worst enemy sometimes. You know, folks, you need to pay attention. You need to be prepping. You need to have a minimum. You know, a minimum. On the outside, limits of, you need a minimum of 1 year supply of food. Because let me tell you something, folks. Most of you are going to hold hands, skipping right into a FEMA camp. Because your children are hungry. You're hungry. You've eaten the dog, the cat, the goldfish. Your neighbor was starting to look pretty good until he lost so much weight he's looking like a skeleton like you are. Folks, there are 3 ways to control people. The first way to control people is by force. The lack of being able to defend yourself. Second way is housing. And the third way, to me, is almost as important as the first, is food. You know, nobody wants to see anybody go hungry. We don't want to see, but let me tell you something, folks. Push comes to shove, the United States could end up looking just like Venezuela. The very powerful and elite have their food and their money and everything while everybody else starves. That's the reason I tell you, it's springtime right now. It's springtime. Get your gardens going. You know, if you live in a semi-remote area or you don't have, your neighbors aren't very, raise a few chickens. Get a goat. You know, plant fruit trees. You know, I had a grandfather, or a man I called grandfather, who said something very important one day. He looked at me and he said, boy, if you want to be remembered by others, plant vines or plant a fruit tree, because they will always be thankful to you as they're eating the fruit in the future. So remember, folks, things can go south at a moment's notice, and you need to be prepared. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Ancient Warrior broadcasting from Free America. Good day.